This is one of those topics that no one really wants to think about, but if you're a parent, a homeowner, married, or helping take care of aging parents, it's something that honestly deserves a little attention. I'm talking about estate planning. And before you tune out thinking it's complicated or expensive, that's actually why I want to mention Trust and Will. Trust and Will makes estate planning feel way less intimidating than it sounds. They offer modern, attorney-designed wills and trusts that you can create online. And the process is surprisingly straightforward. In fact, you can create a will in as little as 30 minutes. That includes things like guardianship for your kids or pets, how your assets are distributed, and even healthcare directives. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your loved ones with Trust and Will, the most trusted name in online estate planning. Go to trustandwill.com/future to get 20% off. That's trustandwill.com/future for 20% off. trustandwill.com/FUTURE.
Well, the nervous system has like two main states. We're just going to make it really simple, right?
Okay.
It's either in fight or flight or it's in rest and digest. And when the nervous system is in fight or flight, it literally regulates every process in the body. It's like, your pupils dilate, you're producing more cortisol, like all of the blood flow goes to like the muscles so that you can like run from the bear or the tiger. And this is what happens for a lot of people chronically. And so what's happening is that a lot of that vital energy is going away from the organs that are supposed to, like digest your food, which means like making stomach acid, creating bile, creating pancreatic enzymes. Like all of these processes are basically being put on pause when you're in fight or flight.
Welcome to the Bomb Life Podcast, where fitness, mindset, and real talk collide. This isn't just about workouts. It's about transforming your body, mind, and life. Get ready for unfiltered conversations, expert advice, and the motivation you need to level up in every way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Bomb Life Podcast. I'm Melissa Vogel, your host. Welcome to the show. If you are a returning listener, welcome back. And if you are brand new to the show, this is a great episode for you to land on. I'm so thrilled that we are just plugging away at this month, and we have so many people that aren't doing the same patterns and behaviors as 2025. Very good job, you guys. I'm really proud of you that have taken the action. Some of you know I told you I was going to give you a shout out in the next episode. Christy, I'm super proud of you. Welcome to the team. Welcome to your coaching. Stephen, I'm so thrilled that you finally jumped in. Stephen has been a long time listener, and he's finally jumping into his one-on-one coaching, and we are getting him started this month. You should be very proud of yourself for taking the next steps, but keep them coming, you guys. Keep the conversations rolling. Shoot me a DM. If you don't follow me on Instagram, it's Melissa Vogel, ITSMELISSA VOGEL. You can find me on there. You can find me on Facebook, and I'm in my DMs. So if you want to shoot me over a message, go for it. You can also go to the show notes and click on the link to book a call with me. One-on-one, we'll come up with a plan. And you guys, as always, if I'm not a fit for you, we have so many amazing guests and coaches on just this episode, or not this episode, on this podcast alone. There is someone that I can guide you to if I am not a fit, or we can get you going in the right direction. But you have to take the steps to want the change. You have to be the one that's willing to show up, have the hard conversation, and then be like, okay, what do we do with this information? And that's what I'm here to help you do. This conversation today goes kind of hand in hand with this, because you have to take action. You have to be responsible for your own health. And today we have Ava Hooft on. She's a certified holistic health coach, a neo-emotional release and detox practitioner, and she's the founder of the REALIGNMENT Method. So she guides individuals in reconnecting with their true essence by bridging science, quantum physics, emotional healing, spirituality, like all together. And through a unique integration of advanced detox protocols, mineral balancing, somatic and emotional release work, nervous system regulation, and subconscious reprogramming, she helps uncover and resolve the root causes of physical symptoms and emotional imbalances. So today's episode goes right along with that. It's like diving in, figuring out, uncovering what is really going on, and then seeing what is the best route for you to take. Because I'm going to tell you right now, staying where you're at is not the answer, especially if it's not working. I can't tell you how many people I see all the time showing up at the gym, They're doing the same exact thing. They're having the same conversation with their trainer. Their trainer's doing the same exact thing. And like, I'm like, what are we doing? This is the definition of insanity. We keep showing up, doing the same thing, expecting different results. And that is not the answer. So if what you're doing, let's say you got started in January and you're one of those people that it's showing up, right? And nothing is really changing. That's a problem. That's something that needs to be addressed, because how much longer are you going to keep doing something that's not producing the results that you want? And sometimes, like the work that Ava does, you go deeper. Sometimes we talk about this right away in the beginning, like the foundation is super rocky. There isn't a foundation that's smooth and solid that we can build off of. And so sometimes you think you need to start at level 3 and we're like, oh no, we got to go down to like -3. That's where we start to do the work and then build up from there. So this conversation, it's so empowering because she empowers her clients to achieve deep, holistic healing, like lasting transformation and alignment on physical, mental, emotional, spiritual levels. And you guys know that is what I'm all about. So this conversation, it's just perfect timing. And this conversation aligns with everything that this podcast stands for, but bringing all of the pieces together. And we have done several episodes on trauma and healing and doing things deeper and within. And I keep having these conversations because I said this before. You never know what episode you're going to hear and it's going to stick, or you never know what guest comes on and you hear that message loud and clear, even though you heard it several times before, or maybe they're a person that you need to work with. I am all about sharing the love. Maybe I'm not a fit, but she is. Hey, whatever gets you the results and living your best life ever. That's what I'm about. So we are going to keep having these conversations. I'm going to keep just pounding it into your head of the different levels you have to hit to create lasting change for life. All right. So get ready to dive in because we're talking about the nervous system. We're talking about true healing. And I think you guys are going to love this episode. As always, please rate and review this podcast. Give us 5 stars if you feel appropriate. Leave a review. If you haven't done that yet, please do so. And also make sure you're following the show. Like subscribe. A lot of people are like, oh no, I just go and listen, and they don't like subscribe. And that does a lot of things for the show. It's extremely helpful. But again, go to the show notes. There's always different ways to work. And there's always little baby steps that you can take to help you move forward. It doesn't have to be as big of a jump as you think, but that first step is the hardest. All right, everyone, enjoy the show. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Bomb Life podcast. Today we have Ava Hooft on. Welcome to the show, Ava.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
You guys, we have had to like cancel this recording like several times now, like on my end, on her end. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to trust that this is going to happen when it's meant to happen. And I think this is like a perfect time of year to talk all things like nervous system regulation, the detoxing, like everything that you cover with emotional release, like everything. I think it's going to be a perfect time of year for that.
Absolutely.
So you're a holistic health coach. You are a neo-emotional release and detox practitioner, which you're going to have to explain to me what that is. And you're the founder of the REALIGNMENT Method. You're also the host of the REALIGNMENT podcast. You've done a lot. You have a busy, busy life for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, it's been a journey for sure.
Yeah, isn't it? It's like a marathon.
Oh yeah, it's like a full-time job.
Oh my God. It truly is. So, okay, I got to know first, what's a neo-emotional release practitioner?
Yeah, so neo-emotional release, they actually have an institute in Europe. So it's a form of somatic work. So they kind of blend like somatic work, which is a lot of like body-based healing, emotional release work. And then they also kind of include, like psychosomatics, certain like breath techniques, craniosacral. So it's like a blend of modalities into one.
Okay. First question for you. How did you get into this? Like, how is this Ava's world and what you do and how you help other people?
Yeah, I mean, much like probably a lot of people that you have on, I ended up having a very tumultuous journey myself that kind of like forced me onto this path. So started off when I was very young. I always had like tons of like health issues, from like gut issues to depression and anxiety. And like no doctors could really figure out what was wrong with me. Like all my labs were always off. Like I was always the kid that like had to stay home from school for like, multiple years at a time, like really, really painful periods. Like basically everything that could go wrong with my body was like off. And when one thing was resolved, it was the next. And so I was just kind of like on that path of just, yeah, like my parents trying to figure out, like, okay, conventional doctors don't work. Let's get her to the holistic doctors, which would work sometimes, but then wouldn't. And so it was right when I was about 15, 16 that I got scouted for modeling. And at that time, I was just thrown into that industry, put on all the different diets and like wreck my gut even more. And so eventually it just forced me onto this path of like, okay, I need to like research and figure out what's wrong with me myself. And so that really led me onto the path of like, oh, like maybe it's SIBO, or I got labeled with IBS and got all like the umbrella diagnoses that really don't mean anything. And so through that journey and just being really fortunate of like finding articles, because at the time, like now you can find everything on Instagram and on ChatGPT, but at the time it's like, what do? You look on Google, like I have gut issues, So I was very fortunate to like find a lot and experiment with myself and my own body, and eventually found detoxification and like doing cleanses and things that like really helped my body heal, which would help to an extent, but it wasn't until COVID, so 2020. And this is at a time that I was modeling in New York. I was like running on cortisol. I was drinking 4 cups of coffee a day, doing 2 workout classes, and, eating healthy and just avoiding all the foods that I knew would make me bloated and like tired and fatigued. And I eventually like, when the whole world stopped, I realized like, oh my gosh, like my whole life is built on like adrenaline and like cortisol and running and doing. And so I was fortunate enough to spend all of COVID in the Netherlands with my parents, like got a little place in nature and just started diving in and like meditating and like found nervous system regulation and just like really figuring out why my body was always in fight or flight. And from that perspective, like I really, really deeply like went into like meditation, really reprogramming the way that my body was interpreting the world. And that in and of itself had the most massive like shift for me in my health at the time. But then as soon as the world started picking up again and work started picking up again, I was right back where I started. And so that really kind of pushed me into like the world of, okay, like it's important to do these practices daily and to like, understand, okay, how can I actually support my nervous system, not just from like a meditation and breathwork perspective, but actually from like a nutritional standpoint, and to make sure that like my body gets all the nutrients that it needs so that it doesn't feel in like it's in fight or flight. And so that was kind of my journey for a long time. I ended up diving really deep into detoxification, went way overboard, ended up in the urgent care and almost killed myself doing that, which was another big learning part of my journey. And that like led me onto 2 years of basically completely, taking space from the whole holistic health space and just focusing on like emotional work, somatics, like getting a lot of like the PTSD from this near-death experience out of my body. And that is basically a lot of the work that I combine now is like doing, physical work, detoxification,
all of it, like, all together. Like, I can't believe how many things have like happened to your life that led to you exploring like a new like path. Like, and you say the word detox, and I am sure that there are so many people listening going like, oh my God, yeah, I detox. And like, tell me more about that. What did you do? But the fact that you almost killed yourself, I always wonder how many people push it almost too far and are creating more problems from like the detox protocol that they're following, than if they just would have done nothing at all. Can we talk briefly on detox and like why it could be actually making you even more sick?
Yeah. So I think basically 99% of the whole detox and holistic health space in general looks at things from a very like surface level view. So they see, for example, oh, I have liver congestion, I have a parasite, I have candida, I have SIBO, or whatever the thing is. And we're so wired to believe that we make those things wrong. We're like, okay, the parasite's bad, the candida is bad, I need to kill it or I need to get it out of the body. And so almost like kind of in a reactive responds, we say, okay, let's go kill it. Let's go on a parasite cleanse or a juice fast or whatever it is. And what we're actually doing is not looking at the body that essentially created the conditions over time for those parasites or for the liver congestion to kind of occur. And so, like, basically 99% of the time, the people who have those pathogens who express symptoms are people who have a very rocky foundation, right? Like they're
Yes.
living on like mineral depletion, like the nervous system's already in stress, the adrenals are depleted, like
Yep.
there's like hypothyroidism. And so what they're now doing is just adding more stress by doing all these like fancy biohacking techniques and fasting and all these cleanses. And so they wonder why they feel better and then feel worse, 3 to 6 months later again. And so that is really what shifted my whole perspective of like, oh, like if our foundation's off, like if we are depleted in minerals, which we all are, right? Like not just because our soils are depleted, but also because when we are in fight or flight, like when we're on our screens all day, our bodies are burning through minerals. Like our output of like mineral loss is so high because, like we're running on cortisol and
Yeah.
aldosterone and like we're exposed to like non-native EMFs all the time, which burns through minerals. And so now anything that we're doing is from a depleted state. And
Mhm.
the way that I look at detoxification, just like I look at, how trauma is released from the body, it only happens when the body feels safe. And so what we're doing is
Interesting.
we're trying to pull something from a body that doesn't feel safe. And what does the body do? It locks up, right? It's like, oh, I'm not going to allow any nutrients in or any toxins out because I'm in this state of like, it's not safe.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's super powerful to work with people and essentially shift their whole worldview because I often get clients with a laundry list of supplements that are like, my functional doctor told me to take all these things. And I was
Right.
like, but you're not feeling better. So, like,
Right.
yeah.
No, I completely can relate to like the whole locked up part and like a body
Yeah.
that feels unsafe, even in like the health and fitness space that
Mhm.
I'm in with my clients because and you're right, it starts with that foundation because I'm like, look, if you're not okay in all areas of your life with your relationships, with your
Mhm.
parent, with your partner, with your kids, and that's all like clogging up your pipes in your body, what makes you think your body's
Totally.
going to feel safe enough to do the work to build muscle, but then also let go of fat?
Yeah. Oh no,
It's
it doesn't happen.
it's all connected. And if you have been starving your body,
Mhm.
for whatever reason, maybe just overworked, maybe you actually do have some type of disorder going on. And now you're like, hey, body, trust me. We're going to do this. And I need you to let go of like 3% body fat for me. Your body's going to be like, bitch, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, no,
Totally.
you haven't been feeding me probably for 10 years. And now
Mhm.
you want me to give. And that I like when you said locked up, I'm like, oh my God, yes,
Mhm.
yes, completely
Yeah.
can relate.
Yeah, it's exactly what you're saying, right? Like I have a lot of clients come to me, they're like, I want to lose weight. And I'm like, okay, exactly what you're saying. Like you've been chronically underfeeding, you're
Yeah.
completely depleted. The body is going to hold on to anything that it can. And it's like, even for, again, like from a trauma perspective, like I've had clients who, after they finally feel safe enough to release a lot of the stored emotions, it's like the fat also comes off because it's like they're just so
Yes.
interconnected, right?
People just don't talk about this.
I
Like,
know.
if you go to any gym right now and just, stroke up a conversation with a trainer, they're not gonna, this isn't part of their protocol for their client.
No, they're just calories in, calories out. I used to be
Yeah.
that way and I thought it worked and it
Same.
definitely wrecked me.
Same. Yeah. And then it takes so long to get your body into a state of trust and to regulate your hormones again and to bring down the cortisol levels because it gets used to it. That's the only way it knows how to function.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
you
I can
change.
totally relate there. Like I was doing, calorie counting and like focusing on macros and always like chronically underfeeding myself and overworking my
Yeah.
body for like so many years. And then when I actually started like what I do now is like mineral balancing protocols with clients where we actually just like optimize their minerals. And some clients who haven't been in a depleted state, their body instantly responds. They start dumping heavy metals and parasites. For me, it was like a year of just getting my minerals back to a level because I've been chronically,
Right.
underfeeding myself. And like it was so fascinating to see that where I was like, oh, my body is just like needing like all the rest for like a year and just like absorbing,
Mhm.
like nourishing myself. And now it feels safe to start dumping metals. It's like fascinating to look at that.
Yeah. Can we talk about? I think I saw it on like one of your sheets or preparing, and you were saying, or maybe it was a really made, I don't know. I've been stalking you a lot lately. And you were talking about how you can't heal if you're in survival mode. I don't know, maybe I saw it on a sheet or something. And I was just like, oh my God, that is so true. And you can't heal a body you hate either. You know, a body that
So
you
true.
feel like isn't performing for you or isn't doing what you want. Your body's, it's not going to listen. But that nervous system regulation, it's just the foundation of everything. Can we talk on that and why, you know, it's so important to get out of just survival mode and,
Absolutely.
you know, not just surviving, but thriving in the space that you're in?
Well, the nervous system has like two main states. We're just going to make it really simple, right?
Okay.
It's either in fight or flight or it's in rest and digest. And when the nervous system is in fight or flight, it literally regulates every process in the body. It's like, you know, your pupils dilate, you're producing more cortisol, like all of the blood flow goes to like the, you know, the muscles so that you can like run from the bear or the tiger. And this is what happens for a lot of people chronically. And so what's happening is that a lot of that vital energy is going away from the organs that are supposed to, you know, like digest your food, which means like making stomach acid, creating bile, creating pancreatic enzymes. Like all of these processes are basically being put on pause when you're in fight or flight. So this could even happen, like, let's say you're eating dinner and you're having like an argument with your boyfriend or your, you know, your spouse, your partner. And suddenly, like all of that vital energy goes to the extremities away from the organs. And so now your meal's actually not properly digesting and you're wondering why you feel bloated and heavy and like all of these things, right? And so when that happens over time, the limbic system actually has this, there's a theory that's called like a cell danger response, which essentially explains how when that trigger, that fight or flight, that like fear response get turned on for long enough, which can be through, right? It can be emotional. It can be you perceiving your environment as not safe. It could be physical if you're exposed to like mold or you're like chronically exposed to specific toxins. It could be a physical injury that your body is like really overwhelmed with. So it doesn't really matter what the source of the threat or danger is, but it essentially kind of puts the cells on lockdown. So the cells actually have this alarm system where they can alarm nearby cells as well to also say like, hey, put everything on halt. Like there's danger going on, which is also what we see a lot in people with histamine response, mast cell activation syndrome, things like that, because the whole body is in that, like what we said, the lockdown state. So it's literally like nutrients don't enter into the cell, but they also don't leave the cell, meaning that a lot of the toxins are like not actually able to leave. And that's on top of already what's happening by like you not producing enough bile, which is how our toxins leave, and us not digesting our food. And what happens if we don't properly digest our food is that the body actually allows, like this is the way that I look at it from a terrain theory lens, is that we all have candida in our gut, for example, or certain microbes or, you know, parasites. We're never going to be fully parasite free. The thing is that when we are full of toxins, waste, because our body is in fight or flight and not focused on actually properly digesting our food or eliminating it, those pathogens are going to actually be consuming a lot of those toxins and that excess waste, and therefore are going to multiply, right? So we're actually feeding a lot of these pathogens, and in a way, the body is always in balance, meaning that if you're like, your digestion isn't working optimally for 10, 20 years because you're chronically in fight or flight, then again, like all of those pathogens are going to take up a lot more space, which then also create more toxic load because they also produce toxic byproducts that stress out your nervous system even more. So now it's this like, it's a toxic loop that we can't really get out of until we regulate ourselves. And the regulation in and of itself, sometimes with clients, can actually allow the digestion to take, you know, to start working again, for you to start to eliminate toxins.
Sure.
So I have people sometimes with nervous system regulation alone or emotional work have massive detox symptoms because the body starts to work again and it starts to just detox these toxins. And so, you know, all of those Instagram influencers and like blogs and whatever it is that tell you to like buy these detox supplements, it's like, you know, if you just get into a place where you're exiting a relationship that doesn't align for you, where you're leaving a job that does, you know, that stresses you out, or you're actually just taking more space to be in nature, like that is the real medicine that we need above any of the supplements in the first place. You know, like they can be helpful. I use them in my programs, but in a very strategic way when the body is ready and actually able to use the supplements, right?
It's so fascinating to me, all of this, you know, and one of the biggest things, I had some like inflammation markers come back and stuff. And, you know, I started researching it. I'm like, what can I do? What am I missing? And I know nervous system regulation was a big thing for me, but I really dove into like sauna, but 3 times a week, only 20 minutes. And if you dive in, holy shit, you can really see like 7 days a week, go for 40 minutes, watch your heart rate until it's like in the 160s. And I'm like, oh my God, if you really wanted to take things next level, there are protocols in place for you to do it. But I'm like, no, what is the basic, like, just help me stay healthy, like bring inflammation down, stress my system, but not in a crazy way. 3 times a week, 20 minutes. My liver test came back in 3 months, like completely cleared. My
Wow.
inflammation markers were gone. They're like, what did you do? And I'm like, I literally sauna'd and grounded myself in the dirt every day.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly,
they're like,
right?
oh,
It's
did you
so
start this? I'm
simple.
like, no, I didn't actually. I actually didn't. And
Yeah.
again, people don't talk about this stuff, Ava. Like,
Yeah, I know.
just conversations that aren't happening. And I try and do as many episodes as I can because I'm always like, you never know what guest is going to come on, what they're going to say that's going to resonate with you. That's going to like finally make that light go on and just be like, oh, this is what I'm missing.
Yeah.
Hey, Bomb Life fam, I have a question for you. Are you the kind of person who crushes it at work, shows up for your family, checks off every to-do list, but when it comes to your fitness, your energy, and your confidence, it feels like something's missing? You might be doing the workouts, listening to all the right podcasts. I mean, you are listening to this one. But deep down, you know you're just kind of going through the motions and you're done playing small in this area of life. That's exactly why I created Fit Mind Coaching, my private one-on-one program for high-achieving women and men who are ready to level up. This isn't just another fitness plan. This is about building the body and the mindset to match the life you're working so damn hard for. Because success in business means nothing if you're hiding in hoodies, avoiding mirrors, or dragging through your day with zero energy, or showing up on Zoom meetings feeling good from the chest up, but praying no one ever sees what's going on below the screen. We're talking about fat loss, muscle building, and real confidence that bleeds into every area of your life, your boardroom, your bedroom, and your parenting. You want it all? Good. You should have it all. Let's go. Click the link in the show notes and book your free call with me today. Let's build the strongest, most confident version of you inside and out. You're ready for more, and I'm ready to show you how. Back to the show. Okay, so we use the term nervous system regulation already, like several times. Can you explain, like for dummies, what exactly that means? So our listeners go, oh, okay, I kind of knew what that meant, but like now this makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great question. Like, how am I going to explain this like
I
in
know,
a really easy way?
it's like
Yeah.
someone asking me, like, how do I lose weight?
Yeah. Okay. Well, in a really easy way, right? Like I said, we have really two states. The nervous system, which is always interpreting signals, right? Like it literally runs everything. If you've ever seen an image of the nervous system, if you haven't, Google it. It's like, I think they have this like weird image of like a brain with like all these tentacles on it. Like it's literally, you know, the nerves going into every part of your body. And it's just electrical signals going off constantly. And the way that, again, like the part of the brain, like the limbic system is the one that's kind of interpreting, right? Safety, non-safety, like,
Yes.
is it safe? Is it dangerous? And so our way when we work with nervous system regulation, a lot of the work that we're talking about is actually limbic system works. We're reprogramming that fight or flight part of the brain to interpret certain things as safety. And you can do this by all sorts of things, like, you know, using your breath is one of them, because like breath really regulates the nervous system. Our heart rate, therefore, is also deeply connected, right? And so there's even like eye exercises that you can do to kind of like help, you know, reprogram the brain in that sense. And so for me, when I talk about nervous system regulation, I think I mentioned it previously, I'm not just talking about like, oh, you have to like do breath work and ground yourself. Like they can be helpful tools, but if there's something deeper, consistently triggering that nervous system, which oftentimes can be, right, stored emotions, or even like if as a young child, you know, your environment wasn't safe and you became hypervigilant because it's like there's always, you know, you're scanning for threats 24/7. You have to learn to reprogram that. Otherwise, the nervous system's always going to be on. And then on top of that, you know, things like structural misalignment can be massive because if like nerves are being pressed upon because like your jaw's misaligned or like there's stuff in the cranium, like a lot of those things can actually really, really have a massive impact on the nervous system as well. And then of course, like toxins can stress out the system so much. A lot of heavy metals have an affinity for the brain and nervous system. So that's kind of where they store. And like that's also another pet peeve of mine in the detox space, because people are just like, oh, I tested my metals and it came back negative. Well, you actually can't test your metals. So, you know, we're told that when you do a lab test like blood or hair that you should be able to see all of that. But the reality is that the body is very intelligent, as well as these metals, right? Like they like to store in specific places. So cadmium, for example, accumulates in the kidneys. So you're never going to see that in the blood, right? You might test and say, oh, I don't have cadmium, or I don't have mercury. But based on the way that we all live our lives, which is in a toxic world nowadays, we all have elevated levels of these metals, especially if you know, have certain exposures, and that can severely irritate the nervous system, and it can actually displace vital you know, elements like zinc and other minerals
Right.
from these receptor sites. And so what I like to look at with nervous system regulation is, okay, from a physical, mental, emotional lens, what all needs to be in place for this specific person for those alarm bells to go off. And for certain people, that's mostly emotional, right? It's again like retraining the brain to perceive that you're actually safe. And if you're constantly living in this state of like, I don't have enough money, I need to work harder, like that's constantly turning those triggers on and on and on. And if you then actually, right, this is why somatic work is so powerful. If you get to the reason why that belief is in the body in the first place and actually reprogram it and learn to actually see, oh, wow, I'm safe, right? I can regulate myself. And there's so many different ways to do that, like EMDR, EFT tapping, like, you know, a lot of like belief reprogramming work, hypnotherapy, right? There's all these ways to do that. That can actually shift the nervous system and how you perceive threats in like instantly. There's literal like ways for people to kind of come in and out of a session and have an entirely new system, an entirely new perception. So I don't know if I just explained it in an easy way or a hard way, but
No, you did. Well, and all that's necessary. Like there isn't just like one way to explain it, but I'm sure there's people listening right now thinking like, and I just love playing devil's advocate, but they're like, no, I just have anxiety. Like it's stressful. This is, you know, I don't have time to do this. And you know, and a lot of people just pop a pill. They're like, well, I'm just going to be on anti-anxiety meds or antidepressant or, you know, oh, I must have ADHD. And they just pop a pill and they're not stopping to think about like what the heck is going on in their brain and the patterns that are still there that's not helping them. And is this one of the reasons why like people think they're doing like everything right and then everything like symptoms return?
Oh, it's 100% that, because especially like, I mean, I was dealing with anxiety and panic attacks for a very long time. And especially when I started detoxing heavy metals from, again, my brain and nervous system, like as they were leaving the body, I was like, oh, this is the source of my anxiety. Like it's literally like when we look at our mineral ratios and the heavy metals in the body, they actually are the thing that's creating the neurochemistry in the brain, right? It's like, it's quite literal. Like even copper toxicity is associated with the same neurotransmitters as fear. And so are you actually having fear or are you just copper toxic? And this is what we see a lot in women with a history of hormonal birth control, a copper IUD, people that have been vegan or vegetarian for multiple years, which is extremely high in copper.
Yeah.
Like I just had my partner, actually, he was vegan for 10 years before we started dating. I was like, okay, we're done with that. So he ended up transitioning and then through the mineral balancing program, dump like a massive amount of copper. And he, like his nervous system, literally, and even the way he thinks, how he interprets things, like he had a lot of like scarcity and always fear and hypervigilance. And then he went through this massive copper dump. And on the other side of it, there's like so much safety and regulation. And so it's like, is it real? Like, do we really have anxiety or are we all just exposed to all these toxins that literally mess with our brain chemistry?
Yeah, exactly. Now you have the realignment method. So, and it's 4 different pillars. I need to know about this. I need to know about this method, how it works. And I guess first off, like, how did you create it? Is this like, you know, just the end result of everything that you're learning and it compiled into this one method?
Yeah, exactly. So it started off with me just like as a health coach and focusing on detox work. And I was like, this, like, it doesn't get me the results that I want with clients. Like they feel better, but then like, it's like, again, that trap that a lot of other practitioners, I think, fall into where it's like, yeah, you clear up someone's symptoms and then they get other symptoms returning like a few months later. And so when I, saw what worked for me and I started applying that to my practice, it was like, oh, wow, like this really, really, this is where we get like those cases that come from doctor to doctor that don't have any answers, that just don't get results, from like feeling horrible to feeling amazing within like, 3 to 6 months, which is just still blows my mind. And the way in which I combine it is like a very like thought of methodical way of like helping people through the body. So we have what's called a natural drainage funnel, right? We start at the colon, then we work our way up to the liver. And from there we go into like deeper work. If it's like someone that does have parasites, right? Like, do we do a mineral balancing protocol and then potentially do a little bit of parasite work at the back of it, but we always focus on the nervous system first. So we basically do nervous system regulation work, emotional release work, mineral balancing work, and detoxification work all throughout the program. But it really depends on like, where does someone come in and what are their main issues? So like when I do my intakes with my clients or in the group programs, I have coaches who do the intakes who've trained with me over the last couple of years. And when they go through an intake session, rather than just saying, okay, well, what are your symptoms? Okay, what if you tried? Here are your supplements. It's like, okay, what's your relationship to your mom and dad? What are your beliefs about these things? Like what do you do for work, right? Like how stressful is your day? How do you wake up every morning? Like what are the thoughts running on your mind? Because if we look at the entire view that you have of the world and of yourself, if we change that, right? Like, because again, it's just you aligning even to the possibility that your body can heal, that can shift more than like any sort of protocol can. And then sometimes from there, like I'll have clients who live in like rural Australia who like it takes, weeks for them to get their supplements. It's like all of their symptoms clear up just from doing the mindset work, some of the meditations, and then like changing their diet a little bit. And they're like, oh my gosh, like I've done all these protocols and this is the thing that works. And they haven't even done, they haven't even touched the supplements yet. So it's, yeah.
That's crazy. And I love that you bring like every single element together. So what does that look like? Like, tell me about your program and how people can work with you. So is it one-on-one coaching? Do you meet once a month, once a week? Like you have the supplement line? Do you work with other companies? Like give me a big picture what it looks like to work with you and your company.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have two different ways that people work with us usually, either in one-on-one or group. One-on-one, I work with a very, very select amount of people, which I love because it's super high touch and I love doing like the somatic work and like, in sessions we'll have like sometimes like ancestral work that we're doing or past life regressions that are coming through. Like we're going very deep in the work.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, which is great. So like that's, like I have really, really high touch like mentorship and one-on-one containers, but the majority of my practice is in group/one-on-one format. So people come in, they get assigned a one-on-one coach, again, who's trained with me for the last few years. And then we do group calls. We have group calls twice a week. Some are specifically somatically focused. So I have emotional release practitioners on my team who will guide people through those somatic journeys on live calls. We also have recorded versions of that. And then I do, weekly guided sessions where we still get one-on-one, touch points. So our community aspect is really, really big there. So yeah, people come into the program, we do a full intake. They get an entirely personalized protocol and they get a timeline, right? Like based on their entire history, like what do we project? How long is it going to take us to get them from point A to point B and then onwards, right? And so we kind of see, okay, like this person has all these gut issues. They have a lot of nervous system stuff. Maybe they have mast cell activity, like activation syndrome. They have histamine response or like, all sorts of sleep issues. Maybe they're going to be in phase 1. So what I call like the phase in which we really work on the nervous system and the gut, like we're stabilizing the whole system. We work on that maybe 4 to 6 weeks. Once they're stable and they feel like their digestion's better, they sleep better, they have more energy, then we go into like the liver detox practices, like maybe adding in some retroviral support. I work with clients who have like either gotten the vaccine or like gotten a lot of worse post-COVID. And so we do some spike protein detox and then we can go into like mineral balancing. So that entire journey is personalized. So I don't have people go through the same program. Yes, roughly, like I'll rotate in similar supplements, which I don't have my own supplement line yet, but I work with other companies that I deeply, deeply trust. And then from there, we kind of see like, okay, how is this person responding? Like, do they want to continue this journey? Do we kind of make changes? And then within that, they have monthly check-ins with their one-on-one coach as well. So yeah, it's like, everyone's fully, fully supported through that program. So it's basically like one-on-one/group hybrid coaching that I feel like works best for people.
Okay. No, that makes sense because some people do need that one-on-one attention and like
totally.
And especially when you look at people and you're like, I mean, the group would be great, but like I see so many things going on that we need to dive into.
Totally.
It's like, you and I need to sit down one-on-one. Anyone listening right now, like what would you, if someone's listening, because I'm, again, playing devil's advocate, and I know we have a wide variety of ages that listen, men and women, and some of them are probably sitting here listening going, I mean, this all sounds great, but like, does this really impact my health? Like, do I really have these things going on? Like, and they're kind of on the fence about like, I don't want to say a believer, but like, really absorbing this information. what would be your piece of advice to them? Or like, what would a question be that you would ask them to ask themselves? Like, I know I'm
Yeah.
putting you on the spot and stuff,
No, this
but
is great. This is great. I think one thing that I always ask people, right? It's like asking themselves if, like, even if they feel like they're operating at 90% of their capacity, which probably most of your listeners aren't. Like, most
no.
people are like operating at 60,
Yes.
40 to 60% of their capacity. Even if you feel like you operate at 90 or even at 60, right? Like, imagine what it would be worth to you to operate 10%, even just 10% better, right? And like to have more energy, to like be present in your relationships, to function in work. Like, that's the one financial piece that I always talk about with people, and also that I've seen in myself. Like, even if I wasn't sure if something was going to work for me, but I had this like inclination of like, maybe I can get like even 5% more energy from this, or like 5%, my gut's going to feel 5% better, or whatever it is. Like, it always like duplicated my investment, if not 10x'd it, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
the way that we think that we are, because our entire view of ourselves and our personality, again, is built on this foundation of like, how are our minerals functioning, like the toxic load in our body, like,
Yep.
and that's the thing, like, gave the example of my partner. When we met, he was immobilized, he wasn't working, he had intense brain fog, fatigue, like just wasn't really making any money, because like he just didn't have the capacity to like
Right.
have energy. And now, he's just like working like 12-hour days, and there's just like complete night
Totally
or
different.
day difference. And so what I usually ask people, it's like, if there's any part of your life, whether it's relationally or your health or business, that you feel like, oh, there's room to grow here. And again, like, that's basically the entire system that we've built, because we're just increasing your vital energy, like your life force energy. That's all we're doing, right? If you want to say like, oh, it's, my energy stolen because of parasites or heavy metals, or just because I'm in, like, again, my nervous system is out of whack, or I'm always living in scarcity, like all of those things we kind of address in the program, not always simultaneously, but like in a step-by-step
Yeah.
approach. And so
Yeah.
if you feel like there's room to grow, it's worth the investment. If you
Yeah.
don't, then it's, I don't see why you would join, but yeah.
Right. No, I totally agree. I completely agree. And there's just areas of our life that we can't handle on our own. And
Totally.
even like therapy, it's not the right path, or it's not enough sometimes. And yeah, I am a big believer in, letting go of any shame or guilt around it. Like, what's wrong with me? Why am I broken? Why can't I just do this by myself? It's like there's so much more to it, than we
Yeah.
realize.
That's actually such a good point. I had a client bring that up recently, and she was like, how do I function without you? Like, I need you, and like she felt bad about it. She was like feeling shame. And I was like,
Yeah.
there's a reason that I have 3 to 5 mentors at a time. It's like I operate at such a high, like, functioning, it's like I'm operating in business, I'm holding space for so many clients. That means that I'm going to need that much support because of
Yes.
everything that I'm holding. And like, I've tried to do like a couple years at a time, I was like, I'm going to do it all myself and all the things. And like, I don't grow half as fast if I don't have the mirrors to point me out on the ways in which I'm self-sabotaging, or like not keeping myself accountable
Yeah.
for things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Completely agree. Ava, where can people find you? Where can they follow you? We're going to put everything in the show notes too,
Mhm.
but give it all to us. Where can we get you?
Yeah, so I share a lot of free information, mostly on my social media. So
Okay.
it's at ava.hooft. So first dot last name. There's also a free masterclass, I think, that we'll put in the show notes as well. So this masterclass really breaks everything down. Like, if you are listening and you're like, well, will this work for me because I have XYZ? I'm going through all of those steps of, kind of breaking things down, and why potentially things haven't worked for you then past in that masterclass. It's about an hour. It's super, super worth watching that. And then there's also, all of the information on my programs on the website, which is linked in my Instagram bio as well, or just
Okay.
myfirstandlastname.com.
Perfect. Perfect. This was amazing. Like, I am so glad that we finally got to connect and we made this work. This was a gift. Like, having you on the show is a true blessing. So I can't thank you enough for being on here.
Likewise. Yeah. So nice to meet you. And thank you for having me.
Yes, I hope we get to work together in the future too, and like keep
Me
this
too.
conversation going. You guys check out the show notes, check out everything Ava, follow her on social media, and don't forget the Realignment podcast that is still up and running, and you guys can listen and learn even more over there. But everyone, stay safe, stay healthy. Until next time. The Bottom Life podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The content shared here is not intended as medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult with a qualified professional before making any health, fitness, financial, or legal decisions. The opinions shared on this podcast are personal experiences and insight. So if you need expert guidance, go find the right professional for you. Thanks for listening.